What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy Jerome. I'm back with the review for Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. This is season 5, episode number 12. This episode is titled Last Tango with Paris. So without further ado, let's get the video started. Alright, so we still have these girls and they are out there in London. So you got the girls out there on the water, and they're just talking about nothing really and truly, to be honest with you. You know, they're talking about Nikki going back home and all that kind of stuff, and you know, they're talking about Moniece and and that kind of stuff. They're talking about Moniece's energy and her friendship with K. Michelle. Now here's my thing when it comes to this whole, you know, K. Michelle thing. They want to blame her for what K. Michelle did with Akbar. Like, K. Michelle is a grown ass woman, and you know, I don't know how y'all can sit here and try to blame Moniece for everything. Like, Moniece and K. Michelle are two different people, so how can y'all sit here and try to come at Moniece about something that K. Michelle did? Like I just said, K. Michelle is a full grown ass woman, so none of that shit really makes sense to me. All right, and then we have Bridget. She is doing this promo shoot, and she has Brooke with her. And then, you know, she and Brooke are getting ready to head to where she's doing the shoot at, and she's letting Brooke know that she invited Moniece and all that kind of stuff. And I loved how the fact that Bridget called Brooke out and said she was messy as fuck for what she did to Moniece, which she was, with that you know, the studio session and all that kind of stuff. And you know, yeah, so she was messing with that. And then, you know, so when they finally get there, you know, it's just first it's Brooke and Bridget, and she's taking her pictures and all that kind of stuff. Then Moniece shows up, and you know, Brooke pulls Moniece to the side and has a conversation with Moniece and all that kind of stuff. And you know, Brooke is really talking about Moniece's mood in the studio that day. And Moniece is like, yeah, her mood was, you know, off and all that kind of stuff. But it was, you know, because she was on some new medication, and you know, that made her kind of, you know, off kilter and all that kind of stuff. And you know, Brooke is like, she didn't believe that and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, Brooke, first of all, who gives a fuck what you think and all that kind of stuff? Like, if the girl says she had issues with her medication, the girl had issues with her medication. Like, she wasn't nervous about being in the studio and all that kind of stuff. Like, I was annoyed with Brooke with that whole scene right there. And then, you know, she's talking to, telling Moniece about the song that she did with Moniece's song with Rockstar. And she was talking about, well, you know, after you left, I did go in the studio and I did, you know, do that song. And Moniece is like, and then she's gonna tell Moniece, you know, I didn't feel like you really liked that song too much anyways. Moniece is like, well, I did like that song, but you know, if that's what if you want the song, take the song. I don't really give a shit. And I'm like, Brooke is a messy person. Brooke is the Carly Red of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, and a even horrible version of Carly Red. I'm like, oh my god, like, I don't see how any of these girls at this point, if anybody's cool with Brooke watching this season, I don't know how and why, because she's doing a lot of shit that makes no sense to me. And then you have all the girls, they go out to lunch or dinner, I don't know which one it was, and they're talking about how drunk Paris was the night before. You know, Brooke is talking about how Paris was slapping her and hitting her and all that kind of stuff, but also telling her that she loved her. And then Moniece is talking about how once they came back from the club, that what's her name, Paris came into her room going off about K. Michelle and all that kind of stuff, about her calling her a thief and all that kind of stuff, and telling her to call K. Michelle and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, here we go with this whole K. Michelle calling her a thief again. I'm like, I hadn't heard this shit in a while. Like, where did this come from? And you know, Moniece tries to make up with Tierra, because you know, Tierra was upset with Moniece about the whole shit that K. Michelle did with Akbar and all that kind of stuff. And then Tierra kept saying, you know, her man. I'm like, girl, ain't this the same nigga that you quote said leaked this sex tape of you, and you want to talk about your man? And again, here's my thing. Everybody wants to be mad at Moniece, but what the fuck? Moniece ain't did shit. And then Tierra talking about, you know, Moniece's friendship is over because of K. Michelle. And then, you know, Tierra is really still upset about this whole Cisco situation from last season with the rehab, and you know, and she's talking about Moniece repeating shit and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just still sitting here dumbfounded, like, why are you upset with Moniece again? Because number one, if it wasn't for Moniece, you probably wouldn't have got the help that you needed for the rehab, number one. And then number two, with this K Michelle thing, K Michelle is her own person, so how can you be mad at Moniece for something that K Michelle did? Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, I'm confused. All right, so next we have Apple Watts. So Apple, at this point, since the whole therapy session she had with her dad, at this point she's trying to make an effort with him and all that kind of stuff. So today she is meeting with him at church. Side note, I like Apple, but when it comes down to these baby hairs and these wigs, I'm like, damn, like, how long do you have to sit in the mirror just to get that shit to be so perfect? Like, it just, oh God, that look like it takes like an hour or two just to get the baby hairs correct. So when she meets up with her dad at church, she's telling him about Sean Love and all that kind of stuff. And, she's telling him about the contract and all that kind of stuff. And he's questioning Apple about why do you trust her and all that kind of stuff. And she's basically telling him that, Sean Love has been through the same kind of stuff that she's been through. So she feels like with that, she can trust her, which, I mean, I get that you guys have been through similar situations, but that doesn't 100% mean that you can trust a woman. And it doesn't mean that she's going to be a good manager for you. But I do get that she's someone that you feel like, you got something in common with, and, that kind of levels things out, I guess, and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, she's telling her dad about the contract that she has with Sean Love and all that kind of stuff. And, he's telling about how he wants to see the contract, and Apple's like, whoa, bro, pump your brakes. I don't need you to get involved in anything in my, my professional life and all that kind of stuff. Like, you're barely a part of my personal life, so why would I try to involve you in something, my business life and all that kind of stuff. And then, he's talking to Apple about, well, once you have your conversation, sit down with Sean, I want to meet up with you after that and have a conversation with you. And that's when Apple says, well, I have this DUI stuff that I'm still dealing with. She was like, I didn't turn myself in. I didn't go to court when I was supposed to, because originally I was supposed to go for 3 days, but now I have to go in for 30 days and all that kind of stuff. So, when it comes down to Apple, I really do like Apple. And her dad, to me, he comes off as a little bit of an opportunist, if you want me to be honest with you. All right, and then we had this scene where Sean is meeting up with Apple Watts' dad, John. And, John wants to know more about Sean and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but didn't Apple just sit here and tell you to back out of her business and all that kind of stuff? But here you are getting deeper and deeper into her business. Like, what the fuck? Excuse me. So, basically, Sean, he's questioning Sean and all that kind of stuff. And Sean is like, I've changed Apple's lifestyle in the 2 months that I've known her. And then she's in this whole thing with Sean and her dad, I was on Sean's side completely. Because number one, she called him a deadbeat. Number two, she called him an opportunist because she said he's not here for Apple. He's here for his own selfish needs and all that kind of stuff. Because then he asked Sean, can he work with Sean on, managing Apple and all that kind of stuff. She was like, yeah, if you got some money on this stuff and all that kind of stuff. He was like, money for what? She was like, I need to get her teeth done, her hair done, her nails done, and all that kind of stuff. And, he like, no, and all that kind of stuff. He was like, how you know I'm her daddy and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what did you just say? So, and then I'm with Sean, you just came up to me and said you are her daddy. Like, what? And it just further proved that he's there for his own selfish needs. Like, talking about how he got 4 other daughters. Whoop-de-doo, you got 4 other daughters, but this one daughter right here that you just said, how do you know I'm her daddy? You ain't done shit for her. Like, what the fuck? Like, I was really over him, and I was completely on Sean's side this whole thing. All right, and then we got Jay Will. He's going to talk to Jigglypuff, aka Mr. Ray, about the whole Pride event and all that kind of stuff. So when he does sit down with Mr. Ray, Mr. Ray is basically telling Jay Will that LaBrittany, who they hired to be on this Pride event, they had on a flyer and all that kind of stuff, and this bitch is over there in London and all that kind of stuff. So, Jay Will is talking shit about Lil Britney, and basically he's saying, since you wanted Candy, Jigglypuff, I'll bring Candy to the Pride event. And Jigglypuff is like, cool, bring Candy. That's what we wanted in the first place. And I understand what it is. When it first happened, I was kind of on Jay Will's side with the audition, but now thinking about it, like, this is a Pride event, and because Jay Will wanted to play like they didn't want to let him be himself, and it's not that. Like I said, it's a Pride event, and Candy is a character, and Candy is a draw for them. People know who Candy is as opposed to Jay Will, so it was nothing. And on Jigglypuff's side, it wasn't anything personal. It's just he's trying to attract people to his event and all that kind of stuff and make money, and Candy is the draw. And then we do move over to this Pride event, and that shit look messy. I mean, not messy, but dead as fuck. Like, I'm like, Mona, did you hire a whole bunch of extras to come in just to say, hey, we gonna film this shit, we gonna make it look like it's a Pride event, even though I don't know what the fuck it is, but we gonna try to do the best that we can with this shit. So Candy gets there, and it's Jigglypuff and Donatello. They are there. So once Candy gets there, she gets on stage, she does her performance, and then after she does her performance, that's when she decides that she wants to get on stage, and she wants to call out Jigglypuff for not wanting Jay Will to be himself. And I'm like, that was not the case, because like I said again, this is a Pride event. Candy is a big draw for this event, so I don't know how you took offense to that. Like, at a Pride event, and I like how when Jigglypuff took him to the side and was like, one, this is unprofessional as hell, and number two, he was talking about back in the early 2000s how being gay was tolerated, but now being gay is accepted and all that kind of stuff, and that's really truly what it was. Like I said, I understood exactly what he was doing, what he meant by all that kind of stuff. Like, Jay Will took it to a different level. It's not anybody saying you can't be Jay Will. It's just saying that this is a Pride event. Everybody knows Candy because of, the Instagram fame and all that kind of stuff. Nobody really knows who Jay Will is. And then the message that Jay Will talks about is completely different from what Candy talks about. So I definitely got where Jigglypuff came from in the whole situation. And Jay Will was 100% wrong and 100% unprofessional. And next we got Brooke with her messy ass. So she's meeting with Akbar, they're back from London and all that kind of stuff. And she she wants to know the truth about this whole Tiara shit and all that kind of stuff with the video and all that kind of stuff. So Akbar meets up with her. Akbar is clearly flirting with this girl, talking about how, he wished things had worked out between them and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, nah, I'm good, you know what I'm saying? And then he says, when it came down to him and Tiara, because, Brooke was like, y'all not together and all that kind of stuff. He's like, I didn't know we weren't together until that press conference and all that kind of stuff. And even after the press conference, Tiara still is trying to be with him and all that kind of stuff. He said she came out here to Dallas and kicked it with him and all that kind of stuff. And then he says that basically what it is Tiara wants Akbar to drop his harem of hoes, Alejandra the Prune and dumbass Sade. So, and she told him that if he does drop those two hoes, that she would drop the lawsuit that she has against him and all that kind of stuff. And, how her lawyers are basically telling her to avoid him and all that kind of stuff. And he does tell Brooke that he has proof, she has still been around. And I'm like, Tiara, now, I still don't know what to believe when it comes to this whole Tiara Akbar sex tape scandal and all that kind of stuff. Because I still have a hard time believing that Tiara would actually do that to herself. But at the same time, I still have to remember what Mimi did in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So that's what plays in my head just a little bit. So I'm really just not 100% sure what to believe. I really don't know. Because it's a lot of stuff just does not add up to me when it comes to this whole sex tape situation. All right, so now I'm gonna move over to this K Michelle and Paris situation, which kind of got on my nerves just a little bit. So Paris is shooting a movie, and Love and Hip Hop Miami's own Amara La Negra is there, and she's telling Amara about London, how it was messy as fuck and all that kind of stuff. Then she wants to bring up the K Michelle situation and how K Michelle called her a thief and all that kind of stuff about this Uber ride, and she's talking about how it was just $50 and all that kind of stuff. Now here's my thing with this shit. It doesn't matter. Paris is more so stuck on the dollar amount as opposed to the actual thing that she did in the first place. Yes, it was just an Uber ride, but it's not even the fact that it's just an Uber ride. Like, the principle is just a principle in the matter. If you can take something so small from me, what else can you take from me? That's how I look at it and all that kind of stuff. And she's talking about how she wants to get past it and all that kind of stuff. And Amara basically tells Paris that K Michelle is not gonna get past it until she feels that she's ready to get past it and all that kind of stuff. Which, sitting here watching this whole shit, I'm like, didn't y'all just sit together earlier this season and squash that shit? Like, where the hell did this shit come from again? I'm like, why are we still talking about this Uber shit? Like, one, y'all moved past it. Two, yes, it was just an Uber ride, but it's not like, that's like saying, oh, I went to the dollar store and I stole some sugar. Bitch, you still stole some sugar. I don't care if it was $1.25 or whatever. You still stole some motherfucking sugar. Like, stealing is stealing. Like, take out the monetary part and just say, bitch, I'm a thief. That's what K Michelle is trying to say. So then we have Moniece. She is meeting up with K Michelle and all that kind of stuff. And she's telling K Michelle about Paris and all that kind of stuff. About how Paris was still upset about that Uber. And how Paris wants to talk to her and all that kind of stuff. And then, Brooke comes and joins them with her messy ass. And then, they're telling K Michelle about and going to backtrack. When, not Paris, but when Moniece told K Michelle about Paris and this Uber ride, K Michelle was also on the same thing. Like, I thought we moved past that. And then it's not even the fact of how much the Uber ride was. It's the principle that you took from me. And like I just said earlier, you can, like, I don't care about the monetary stuff. It's the fact that you stole from me. Like, if you can steal from me, what else will you do to me? And what else will you not do to me? Like, it just, I can get past the money part. You can pay me that back. But once you steal from me, the trust is kind of done. I don't have a lot of trust for you. Like, it dwindles. Like, I'll think to myself, like, damn, you can take something so small from me. Like, what else will you do to me? Like, will you kill me? Will you do this? Will you do that? And I didn't mean to go to the extreme, but just saying, what else will you do? So when Brooke joins them, she's telling K Michelle and about the DJ saying that she was on live with Akbar, and K Michelle was like, I don't owe Tierra shit. Like, we not friends, so I don't know her shit. And I definitely agree with that. And I still, like I said, I don't get why everybody was so upset with Moniece about this shit. Like, Moniece didn't do anything. So then Brooke tells them how she met up with Akbar, and Akbar was saying that Tierra has flown to Dallas and all that kind of stuff. So she then shows them a plane ticket that Akbar sent to Tierra to come to Dallas and all that kind of stuff. And then she shows them a video or a photo, which I'm confused. Where the fuck did that picture come from? Because neither Tierra nor Akbar took that video. So it looked like it was production who took that. Whatever. I'm not even going to sit on that too long. But there, it shows Tierra and Akbar at the airport and all that kind of stuff. And then they move over to La Brittany talking about how Moniece was eating K Michelle out and all that kind of stuff. And they just brushed right past that. And then lastly, we have K Michelle. She is finally meeting up with Paris again and all that kind of stuff. And K Michelle is basically on the tip of, like, I thought we moved past this and all that kind of stuff. And then, Paris said that Moniece is the one who brought this up in London, calling her a bad friend and all that kind of stuff. And Paris is also talking about how, K Michelle said that none of her friends reached out to her after her surgery and all that kind of stuff, which Paris said that I did. And K Michelle was like, well, I didn't get that. But production did show where Paris did DM her and all that kind of stuff with her number in there. So K Michelle got to let that one go. And K Michelle then tells Paris, well, Monique told me that she was in London drunk looking for me and all that kind of stuff. And she said, yeah, I was drunk and I don't really remember too much of that shit. And then that's when Paris goes into this whole thing about this Uber. Like, it was only $50. And K Michelle again said, it's not about the money. It's the fact that you stole shit from me, bitch. Like, you stole from me. And then K Michelle said, and it wasn't $50. And she was like, well, how much was it? How much was it, Kay? So Kay pulls out her credit card statement and starts going down the list of what she did. And, Paris then throws a drink in her face and all that kind of stuff. And they start arguing with each other. And, Paris is like, and then, the security comes in and breaks it up. And Paris is, K Michelle is just reading off how much the Uber rides were. She said one of them was $8. She said, bitch, what did you need $8? A bitch should have sell $8 from you. What kind of shit is that? Like, what we trying to do? Buy pretzels and all that kind of stuff? And I died laughing because it was funny, but at the same time, I get it. Like, bitch, you still, so in a sense, it wasn't just one Uber ride, it was multiple Uber rides, and that's like even worse than one. Like, shit, bitch, you just took advantage of me at that point. So, security is escorting Paris out and all that kind of stuff. And I think she told K Michelle to get her nose fixed, which she really does need to get the nose fixed. And then K Michelle like, you almost fucked up my nose. I'm like, nah, K Michelle, she didn't almost fuck up your nose. Your doctor fucked up your pinched ass nose. Like, oh God, like, I don't understand why people want a nose that's pinched like this and it look like you can't fucking breathe. Like, that shit is ugly as fuck. But that was Love and Hip Hop. Like the video, leave your comments, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later.